Hello, from Brussels. My name is Kilian Gross. I'm the head of unit of DG Connect, Unit A2, dealing with the development and coordination of AI policy in Europe, and now in particular responsible for the AI Act. I'm very happy that I have the opportunity today to give you some insights on what we do on the European level on AI, and I very much share the goal of this conference, namely to make AI understandable and beneficial for everyone. We are now living in the age of AI, we really can say so. This is a technology as revolutionary as mobile phones or the internet at the time. In the near future, there will be an explosion of companies working on new uses of AI, as well as on ways to improve the technology itself. As every new technology, AI is filled with opportunities, as well as with responsibilities. Some of these issues will be addressed by other panels in this conference, such as the effect of AI on democratic processes. The purposes of this panel is to give an overview of the European perspective on AI policy. I will outline in the following minutes how European policymakers address the challenges posed by AI, while at the same time maximizing the beneficial impact of AI on society as a whole. What is now the EU approach to AI? The EU has made AI policy a priority already in 2018 with the publication of its strategy for Europe and the coordinated plan on AI. This strategy has two main objectives: creating an ecosystem of excellence and an ecosystem of trust. The EU aims to become a global leader in AI and promote development of AI that contributes to our societal well-being, is human-centric, trustworthy, and brings benefits to all. With special regards to persons with disabilities, of course, AI can have very positive but also negative effects. Technologies like eye tracking and voice recognition can enable persons with disabilities to access information and education. But there are as well significant risks associated with this new technology. If AI systems act as gatekeepers for the access to certain benefits or opportunities, example, for instance, AI used by human resources to filter applications for job recruitment, there is a risk of discrimination due to biased training data. Therefore, we need an ecosystem of trust and the AI Act. In April 2021, so already more than 2 years ago, the European Commission published its proposal for such an AI Act, a regulation on AI. This proposal is, in our view, proportionate, risk-based, and aims to regulate AI in order to create a single market for this new technology, while at the same time addressing the risks to health, safety, and fundamental rights. While most AI systems will pose low to no risks, certain AI systems create risks that need to be addressed to avoid undesirable outcomes. In this respect, we often speak about a pyramid where we see lower risk, medium risk, and high risk. We are now at the stage of the negotiation process, and there is a strong commitment from both EU co-legislators to find an agreement on this file by the end of this year. The risk-based approach will therefore be key. On top of the risk pyramid, there are the unacceptable risks. A small number of AI practices that are considered to be clearly a threat to the safety and fundamental rights of people. This should be banned. This would, for instance, include public social scoring. On the second layer, there are high-risk systems. These high-risk systems pose a significant risk to fundamental rights and safety. For example, medical devices or AI used for recruitment would be subject to specific requirements. We have to make sure that these AI systems are safe before they are released on the market. A third layer establishes transparency requirements. Certain AI systems, for example chatbots or deepfakes, would be subject to transparency obligations so that users exposed to those systems are aware that they're interacting with a machine or a deepfake content and can take informed decisions. Often, when it comes to protection of fundamental rights, the complexity and the opacity of certain AI applications, the so-called black box, pose a problem. AI systems may also discriminate certain groups in certain contexts or pose safety risks if they are not designed and used appropriately. With the requirements set out for high-risk systems, risk management, data governance, documentation, human oversight, the AI Act is requiring AI providers and manufacturers to embed fundamental rights protection in the design of their systems. Providers of high-risk AI systems will also have to make sure the system and the information provided to users is accessible and potential adverse impact on vulnerable groups is taken into account in the risk management process. Under the proposed AI Act, systems would have to be designed and developed in a way to ensure that their operation is sufficiently transparent to enable users to interpret the system's output and use it appropriately. This includes that AI systems have to be accompanied by instructions for use that are accessible and comprehensible to all users. The second aspect, AI Act and innovation. As this is our endeavor to foster both fundamental rights protection and innovation, the AI Act also aims to promote innovation in many different ways. Regulatory sandboxes, for instance, will help companies to develop innovative AI systems under the supervision of the competent authorities and enable responsible innovation. By providing legal certainty, it will encourage investments in AI and foster the adoption of AI systems. Now let's turn to the trilogue negotiations. It is important to stress that, at this moment when we record this message, the negotiations on the AI Act are still ongoing. While the overall architecture of the Commission proposal, namely the risk-based approach, is not challenged in the negotiations between the co-legislators, and all co-legislators agree on the importance and the urgency of the legislative process, there are still a number of open questions that need to be settled. Key discussion points of the trilogue negotiations include the scope of high-risk systems, which I already mentioned, the governance of the AI Act, and how to deal with general-purpose AI systems or foundation models. We tend to say nothing is agreed on before all is agreed. After the final AI Act has been decided on, it will take probably 2 to 3 years for all its provisions to enter into application. In order to bridge this gap, the EU will set up an AI pact under which companies will have the opportunity to comply with the provisions of the AI Act even before these provisions finally enter into application. Of course, all this will then happen in this interim period on a voluntary basis. What happens else beyond the AI Act on the regulatory front? In order to understand the protection which we will provide at European level, it's important to see as well that the AI Act is not done in isolation. There are other legal acts on European level which are very important and complete the picture. This is in particular legislation such as the General Data Protection Regulation. We will not readdress issues which are already dealt with by these other acts in the AI Act, so it has to be read together with these other acts to understand the level of protection which we will provide on European level. Let me finally come to the international perspective, which is very visible these days. Because we in Europe, we do not act alone. We were perhaps the first to start to work on this, but we see now there's a lot of international activities. We support this because for us, it's important to try with our like-minded partners to agree on international cooperation and on a global convergence in the field of AI. On the recent G20 summit, our President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has proposed to establish a World Council on AI that could be designed in a way similar to the IPCC, the Council on Climate Change. The EU plays an active role in several of these international institutions and processes, most notably, to name a few, the OECD, where there's a lot of work done to understand and to analyze the current developments better, the G7 or Hiroshima process, as well as the EU-US Trade and Technology Council, which is often abbreviated as TTC. On the other hand, as I mentioned in the beginning, we as well strive for excellence. We want to support innovation in AI. And therefore, we are not just limited on a EU level to regulation. We actively promote research and development of AI. In this respect, it's fair to say that the EU aims at creating an ecosystem of excellence for AI. This includes efforts towards accelerating AI technology, transfers from lab to market, as well as fostering public and private investments in AI. Additionally, the EU has established high-performance computing capacities within the EU, which make the EU, together with the US and China, leading in this field. Therefore, let me conclude with the following thoughts. Even though the legislative process is still ongoing, I am convinced that the AI Act will be a good and future-proof legislation that protects the European values where this is necessary, and on the other hand, will not impose too much burden on companies, which will be the addressees of this act. The AI Act will ensure that the use of AI in the EU will be human-centric and serve all of us, while still allowing world-class development and use of AI within the EU. Thanks a lot for your attention. I wish you a very interesting conference.